Hello, gorgeous people. Thanks for joining me for another video. Okay, all right. From the title of this video, I already know that people are going to get offended. People are so sensitive nowadays and easily triggered that everything is offensive. So, especially if you're one of those people who was offended when Donald Trump made that statement, which is that people leave the shithole countries for America. When he said that, I totally agreed with him. Now, I don't always agree with everything Donald Trump has to say, but I supported that statement 110% because it's true, absolutely true. If your country is not such a shithole, then why are you leaving it? It's simple logic. If your country is that perfect haven that is providing you with all the opportunities and you're not being persecuted, then why are you leaving it to seek refuge in someone else's land? Why are you knocking on people's doors? Okay, why are young men in Africa risking their lives in the Mediterranean to go to Europe? Young African men are being held captive as slaves in Libya on their way to Europe, just so they can try to get better opportunities. It's because they come from shithole countries. Can you imagine your country being so terrible that you are literally going to risk your life? It does not matter if you die along the way, just trying to get out of it, just trying to leave your country. That's how bad it is. So why are people offended? Isn't it the truth? The truth is, in fact, if these young men were provided with the opportunities that they needed in order to survive and thrive in their own countries, they would not have any reason to leave. That's the same thing that happened to me. I'm here in Australia because my country is a shithole country. My parents left their country. They left South Sudan in the 80s for Ethiopia, where I ended up being born. I wasn't even born in South Sudan because it was such a shithole country. It has literally been a shithole country ever since I was born, and before I was born, and even before my parents' time. That's how bad it's been. And a lot of other countries are in similar situations as well, especially African countries. Look at South Korea. South Korea gained their independence around the same time as a lot of African countries gained their independence, and they managed to go from being a shithole country to literally being ahead of, like, technologically they're living in the future. While the rest of the world is living in the modern era, South Korea and Japan, and I guess a few other countries also, are living in the future, while African countries that gained independence around the same time as South Korea are living in stone ages, literally, in my opinion. And, it doesn't mean that they don't have the potential. They do have the potential, and that's why it's so frustrating. They can do exactly what South Korea did. They can do what some of these Asian tiger countries did to, go from point A to point B. They changed the situation of for their people, right? So it doesn't mean that they're unique. These African countries can also do it, and other shithole countries can do the same thing also. There are shithole countries in the West. It's not just an African thing. It's not just an Eastern, Middle Eastern thing. It's not a curse that has been cursed upon only certain continents. It is something that can happen to anybody. It can happen in any country, as long as the people become complacent and as long as they're not being tough enough on the leaders. So the fact that people are getting offended by this statement just goes to show how complacent they have become. They have become so stagnant, and I guess they just, it's become the norm for them. They don't even see any different. They don't see any better, or they don't know better, because if they were tougher on their leaders, maybe they'll get their shit together. Maybe the leaders of those countries would actually, feel the need to work harder to provide for their people, because they would be afraid of losing votes. They're not even, this is the level of disrespect that the leaders have for these people, is because they know that they don't even need to work hard to get their votes. They just have to be there, and they'll still support them. If you can get triggered and get offended because someone said your country is a shithole country, when in fact it is. Okay, people in South Sudan right now would love to trade places with me. They would love to leave South Sudan, for better opportunities. First of all, it's not safe enough. There's so much instability, that anybody in South Sudan right now would trade places with me, to leave, even if it's not for Australia, just to get out of that country, to get out, to go someplace safer and someplace where they can have better opportunities economically, and where at least their children can go to school. That's how bad it is. My husband visited his father in 2016. He left Australia to go see his relatives, and a civil war unfortunately ended up breaking out around the time that he was there, and he ended up getting shot. He got shot in the leg as a civilian, an Australian citizen, mind you, just that was visiting, right? He ended up being a casualty to the circumstances there, and he got shot in the leg, being at the wrong place at the wrong time. He was in a shithole country after all. What do you expect, right? So I just think that people need to be honest with themselves. The moment that you're able to admit to yourself that your country isn't where it should be, that it has much more potential, and the people of that country have much more potential, then the closer you are going to get to actually achieving that greatness. Every country has potential to be great. It's not just reserved for certain countries. Every country can become great, but as long as you're as complacent as you are, and that same attitude, if you continue to have it, then your country would remain a shithole for a very long time. It's unfortunate. Okay? Don't be mad at the messenger. Don't be mad at the messenger. Be mad at the message. And the message is very clear, which is that some countries are shithole countries. It's unfortunate. All right? That's all. I'm just going to leave it here today. If you like what I have to say, please like my videos. And don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends. And I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.